Alright, welcome back to the string adventure. This is part 3. We're going to keep building onto our room 1. We've got a few odds and ends we got to take care of before we keep moving forward. So let's go ahead and make sure you have your string room control file open. Remember, I have multiple files open because I'm pulling from my test program that I kind of put all this fun stuff together here. We are going to go ahead and go down to the room chooser method. What we're going to do is we want to go ahead and put a statement inside here that basically says that if they did not enter in room 1, we're going to give them a message that lets them know that they didn't select the correct room. So we're just going to build on this if statement. We're going to turn it to an if-else block, and we'll just basically say, let's get that lined up. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to tell it to say the room you named is not recognized. So if they, let's go ahead and we can run this right now. What will happen is if they don't put in the right room number, it's just going to tell them that the room is not recognized. Because remember, we're looking for the string room 1. So if we type that in, which room I want to go to, let's say room 55, and it says the room you named is not recognized. And then again, it asks us which one we want to go to. And from there, we call room 1. It'll pull up the object. That'll print out all the different directions that we can go. Okay, nice and easy, right? Next, we're going to add this piece of code in right below on this line. I'm here on line 37. If you remember correctly, you might have forgot this. Up here, we had a do while loop where we're basically checking the condition to keep running this particular method as long as that this is a false statement, which we set up right here. So what we want to do is we want to give the user the ability to stop the program, which would change that variable back to true. So we're going to go ahead and create ourselves a little printouts, and then we'll have the user use a scanner object here, and we'll have them enter in information based on this question. Do you want to end the adventure? And what we'll do is we'll have them type in yes or no to indicate whether they want to end the adventure or not. And so they'll enter the information in. We'll switch it all to lowercase right here, so that way you don't have any weird situations where they type in all caps or something like that. And then what we'll do is we're going to put this if-else block right here. And let me clean that up real quick. So what's going to happen is whenever we enter in the information right here, we're going to check the index for yes. And if it's true, then we're going to change end game request to true, and then we'll return. This return doesn't return anything because of this method right up here is void, so it's not really returning anything. But what return will do is it will allow us to break out of this particular sequence of code right here. Okay, so it just tells the program basically, hey, we're done with this, keep on moving. Now here, what we'll do is we have a little trick here. So if they enter in anything other than yes, we're going to say, here we go again, and then our good friend recursion comes
store
in.
list
We'll call
of
the root
information
chooser method right here, and it'll cause the program to keep looping over and over again. Okay. Now down here, when we change this to true and we return, that means we're returning focus back up to this point in the code. So room chooser method stops running right here, and then it checks that condition. It's been set to true, so this won't activate anymore. And then we'll tell them thanks for playing, and then we'll call the method program exit, which is down at the very bottom in case you forgot, and that's going to exit out of the program. Let's see if it works. End the run, compiles good. I want to go to room 1. Do I want to end the adventure? Yes. And then you can see right there, it says thanks for playing. The system will now exit. The system will now exit comes from right here, and then thanks for playing, that comes from right up here on line 18. Okay, nice and easy. That's a good way of getting our program a little bit of functionality, and we give the user the ability to get out of the program if they want to, because I guess that's just kind of nice, isn't it? All right, now we're going to move over into room number 1 here, and we're going to elaborate on that a little bit. Let's move over to room 1. Okay, if you remember correctly, this is where we left off, or if you missed some of the code, here it is in case you want to pause it and type it up. Okay, so we left off right here when we allowed the user to, or excuse me, not allowed the user to do anything, but what we did was we printed out this array of directions. so that way we can see that, hey, we're able to make this object work, and there's some functionality here. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to make some decisions based upon the user inputting information into the program, okay, because this is kind of a choose your own adventure, text-based adventure. It's kind of more like a lab just to teach you some strings, but again, we're going to try to make this a little bit cooler than just some normal lab. So down below my for loop here, I went and copied and pasted my line of code. I'm printing out to the user, type in the direction that you want to go in a complete sentence. That's not what I wrote, but you can see what I wrote. And then down here, again, we call our scanner class object called first request, and we get their information. We set all to lowercase, and then we set this string we created called first request alternate or alt. Now it gave just a blank string literal inside there, okay, just to hold a place value, because this is an object, and putting a blank value in there will allow us to just have like a little bit of something in there, just so we don't get some sort of exception error through Unity. I'm almost said Unity. I'm more used to using Unity than Java, but anyhow, go ahead and pause that, and you should kind of recognize the pattern of doing this right here since we've done it before. What we're going to do next, though, is a little bit more exciting, because what we want to do is we want to set up a kind of a block of some if-else conditions. This isn't pretty. It's kind of it's a big blob of if-else, but you know what? It works. There's probably better ways to do this. However, you know what? It works. It's efficient. It's not really too tedious, and I'd say, you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Especially since we're just learning here. All right, when the user enters information in, what we're going to do is in the first if condition right here on line 40, we're going to check for the indexed word north, okay? And we're going to set this variable first request alt to north. And we're going to do that all the way down right here. These are if-else conditions. So if this is false, this condition is false right here, we're going to come down here and check this one. If this one's false, then we check the next one. If this is false, we go to the next one. False, go to the next one. If that's false, then we go to this else section. There's no if here, so by default, this is what we do. We tell them that there was no direction that matched. Try entering again, and our good friend recursion shows up. That means we're going to call the method from the method we're in and send the user back to the top and make them start over the beginning. Okay, probably not super friendly, but you know what? We're here to get their answer, and by golly, we're going to get their answer from them. Now, let's presume that they picked the word north. Okay, so this variable will be some value north. What we'll do is we're going to put some code below this that's going to allow us to, take that information and change it. Or excuse me, not so much change it, but we're going to use it to call some different methods to expand upon our text-based adventure game. Let's go ahead and scroll down. Hey, I changed one thing. You probably didn't see it because I paused the video when I was thinking about what's happening next. That this was tabbed over, and I went ahead and moved it back. Okay, keep your eye on JGrasp. It's not super cool about that stuff. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to, I'm going to copy and paste my code and put it right down here so you can see it. And what we're going to do is we're going to tell the user what their choice was. We're doing that mainly just to kind of tell ourselves like, hey, it got entered correctly, we know what it is, and this is kind of more like clues and evidence for us. Yeah, it does add some usability to the program for the user, but just remember, we're here to learn. Down here we have a switch statement. The switch statement's pretty cool. What we'll do is we'll take the first request alt variable, and we're going to check these different cases. It's kind of like an if-else block, so I wanted you to see that there's a different way to do this. We could have done it like up here. However, I wanted to do it with a switch statement because sometimes these are more efficient. So what we'll do is we'll check to see the different cases. This is pretty much saying if it's this value, then do this. So if the user entered in the information, so if the case was north, if that's true, then we'll call this method right here. Okay, and so on and so on and so on. Now you notice I have this word break right here. We have to put break because break will get us out of this switch statement. If we don't put break, then what's going to happen is even if this condition was true without the word break, it's just going to keep going down the line and performing all the code no matter what. Okay, so it's important that you put break so you will break out the switch statement. In the event that none of these items were selected, and this is one of the cool things about default, that's similar, loosely similar to this else right here, where this was kind of our default section of this little chain of if-else statements. But the default, what's going to do is, if none of these items were chosen, and so break is not called, by default, we're going to perform these actions. We're going to tell them that the direction that matched, or the direction wasn't matched, excuse me, and then we'll call the method again to send them back to the top and do it all over. So let's go ahead and compile, make sure we have no errors. Oh boy, I got an error right here. Okay, let me see what I did wrong. Okay, I figured out what was wrong. I was getting ahead of myself here. Okay, so what we need to do is, whenever these cases will take place, it's going to try to call this method. And if you are up to speed on this video, you'll notice we haven't created any of these methods. So the problem is the program was looking for these methods. So that's why I got the message down here that was talking that it cannot find the symbol. This can be confusing because at first it looks for the word north. Okay, so your eyes are like, hey, it's not finding the word north, but if you think about it, it's just a string literal. Okay, nothing fancy about that. But what you'll eventually find that the room one north method, okay, and he mentions it down here, it's not finding that symbol either. And then you can also look further at the evidence and see that it's doing it for each one of the methods. Okay, so being able to go through your console and find the errors, that's part of the process of learning how to code. I would say that's probably the more painful process of learning how to code, is deciphering all this crazy Java language down here. Let's go ahead and create these methods for room 1 north, south, east, and west, and the exits. And I'm going to copy and paste them in here. They're pretty simple. You can copy them and see what's going on. But let's say room 1 north gets called. We're just going to print out, let them know that it's something about the north. And then we're going to call the method called room 1 explorer. And if you remember correctly, room 1 explorer was right up here. So again, we're calling back into the method to have them keep going through this over and over again. Okay, would I really want to do this in a text-based adventure game? No. But what I'm trying to do is give you the ability to see that we are able to take these different methods, perform some sort of action inside of them, and then call in other methods. We're going to do the same thing with the south here. Now if we wanted to, we could go through and really elaborate on these things and put more text in here, maybe put the scanner back in, have them make some decisions and choices that calls on different methods and stuff. Okay, and we'll do that a little bit more in room 2, just so you get a feel for making the programs a little bit more robust than they currently are in this sample program. Here we put east, in the eastern part of the room. There are some dogs eating chicken sandwiches. All right, I think the Java dog was eating a chicken sandwich last night, last time I looked over at him. Okay, next, and that's partially true. Okay, we try to keep the Java dog nice and healthy. He's on a healthy diet, healthy dog. All right, oh, come on, J-Grass, help me out here. Okay, I'm trying to get these brackets lined up here. This will give you a chance to get caught up with the video, okay? Or you may not like this software anymore. So room 1 west right here. Let's see, kind of the, oh yeah, in the western part of the room, there are some chickens eating dog sandwiches, okay? It's like one of those weird paintings at the museum there where everything's backwards. All right, now that would be kind of messed up. I bet a chicken would eat a dog sandwich if you gave him the chance. Hopefully not, but you know, it's always a possibility. The world's pretty crazy. Okay, I forgot part of the code there for room 1 exit. And the room 1 exit, check this out. Okay, this one's a little bit different, so hopefully you weren't falling asleep or out on the internet researching chickens eating dogs. And you probably have to be a pretty small dog if you were to have a chicken eating a dog. But down here, we're going to print out that this is the exit, and we're going to return true. So true gets returned from this value, and we call this value from right here. So we return true back up into, or excuse me, Where did I go? Oh, right here. So room 1 exit returns true, and it's breaking out of there. But for right now, we're not really too worried about that. We just know it's going to return true in case we want that value coming back out of it, okay? But right here, it's not really playing much of a role in what's taking place here within this method for right now. All right, let's go ahead and compile that. Shouldn't have any issues. Let's go ahead and run. And if you get this message, this is a good message. A lot of students see this and they're like, oh no, my heart is being crushed by this message. There's a letter I. Oh, I'm just totally upset. No main methods, JavaFX applications, applets, or the midlets found in this file. Oh no, I was so hoping it would work. Okay, well the good news is it does work. The problem is, like I said, there's no main method in here or the JavaFX stuff. Okay, so we have to go to our test class, which is the string room control class, which has the main method right up here. Okay, that's what's running the program. Okay, this is just a an object class right over here called room 1. Okay, it doesn't do anything unless the static void main calls it. Let's go ahead and run this program. Let's type in room 1, and let me move my console up so you can see a little bit higher. All right, and then you can see right here, this is all normal for what we've done. I want to go north. All right, it says you have chosen to go north. In the northern part of the room, there's some scary stuff that makes you think of horrible. Think of something horrible. You can choose to go the following directions: north, south, east, west. Remember, it's recursively calling it, and I want to go west, all caps. And the lower caps thing worked. And here's our famous line. Oh, the direction that was entered does not match. Try entering again. Uh-oh. Let's figure out what we did wrong up here. So back to room 1. Okay, maybe I didn't put that in there. All right. Whenever they enter in the user information, which direction they want to go, and it should switch to lowercase. Didn't seem to be a problem right there. Okay, maybe it's back up here. Let's check this out. So you can choose the following directions. Please type in the direction in a complete sentence. Okay, and oh, look at this. My goodness, that should have been west. Okay, no wonder it didn't recognize it. So it must have been when I was copying and pasting my code when I was making this. All right, so let's recompile it and run continue. And let me verify that we have, there's west right there. Okay, you might have saw that earlier and thought, hey, why we got 2 east marks on there, and started leaving me nasty comments in the YouTube channel. Hopefully you were nice to me. I want to go to room 1 and type in your direction. Let's put in west in all caps. And let's see. You have chosen to go west. In the western part of the room, there are some chickens eating dog sandwiches. Awesome. Perfect. We got it. And then it calls back. All right, so that is the end of this video. Thanks for watching. I hope no chickens will be eating any of dog sandwiches around you in the near future. We'll see you in the next video, and we'll move on to start programming room 2, which will get a little bit more advanced. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.